All right, so imagine this guy, right? Needs a whole swimming pool just for his illegal fireworks stash. That's basically what the FBI stumbled on in this wild case down in Virginia. We're going deep on Brad Spafford, the guy who just snagged the record, and not the good kind, for the biggest homemade explosives bust ever. And it's not just the sheer amount of boom that's got everyone talking, but the whole extremist slogans and the possible connections to some really shady online groups. This is some seriously layered stuff, folks. Are you ready to peel back those layers? Let's jump in.
It all kicks off on December 17th, 2024. Normal day, right? Spafford gets popped. Seems routine. A firearms charge, unregistered short-barreled rifle, the usual. But then, plot twist. Authorities decide to swing by his place, this 20-acre spread in Isle of Wight County, Virginia. What they find? Let me tell you, this wasn't your neighbor's backyard fireworks show. We're talking over 150 pipe bombs and enough other explosive goodies to make Michael Bay jealous. But here's where things get really freaky. A good chunk of these explosives, straight up marked lethal, like he was making a catalog or something, super creepy.
And then, to top it off, they find a backpack. Guess what's on it? A hashtag No Lives Matter logo. Bingo. That, my friends, dumps this whole mess right in the lap of a far-right extremist movement, the kind that's been making all the wrong kinds of noise online.
Oh yeah, that detail. Super concerning. The hashtag No Lives Matter thing, it's not just some edgy slogan. It's like a membership card for this online movement that's even gotten Homeland Security's attention. There was this recent assessment out of New Jersey. These guys are all about pushing violence, spreading their message through those, secret online channels. The works. So this isn't some misunderstood hobbyist. We're looking at potential ideology here. A network. This could be big.
Okay, so we've got explosives galore and a slogan linking Spafford to something potentially really bad. But wait, there's more. Fast forward to Spafford's bond hearing, December 30th. Judge hits him with a $25,000 bond. You believe that? Thankfully, prosecutors were like, nope, and slammed on the emergency stay because, letting this guy walk around after what they found is just asking for trouble. But during the hearing, Detective Rachel Lynn Cardwell takes the stand. And her testimony, man, it's the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night. Turns out they didn't just find the finished product, they found the whole kit and caboodle to make a lot more. And then there's the HMTD super volatile stuff just chilling in his garage freezers like it's a tub of ice cream or something.
HMTD. That's where things get really dicey. We're not talking firecrackers here. This stuff is super sensitive. A little bit goes a long way, in the worst way possible. Think about it. He's got this stuff in his freezer. That level of planning, knowing how to store something that volatile, that's not amateur hour. That's calculated.
It's not just the amount. It's what he's got, how he's storing it. Screams, this guy knew his stuff. And the cherry on top. Investigators find a notebook. You want to guess what's in it? Recipes for military-grade explosives. We're not talking DIY, this is the big leagues. So now the big question, the why. Why all of this? What was going on in his head? We know back in July 2021, Spafford had a little oopsie, lost 3 fingers in an explosion. Now, you don't just walk that off, right? Tells you he's been messing with this dangerous stuff for a while. And get this, a neighbor, they reported Spafford talking about preparing for something he couldn't do alone. Chilling, right? What do you make of that comment?
That neighbor's statement, if it's legit, that just throws a whole other wrench in the works. What is that? A real threat? Cry for help? Just weird talk. Tough to say for sure, but it definitely adds fuel to the fire. Spafford wasn't planning to be a lone wolf. This points to a network, maybe organized, maybe not, but definitely a shared something. We just don't know what yet.
Okay, so a mountain of explosives, a link to a possibly really bad group, a cryptic comment about needing help, and a guy who clearly knows how to handle some serious firepower. Starting to feel less local news, more like a straight-up thriller. And now we got to dig into the arsenal itself. We talked numbers, but what about the specifics? What kind of firepower are we dealing with here? Let's find out.
It's not just a pile of pipe bombs. You know what I mean? It's like a whole arsenal. He was building an arsenal. The authorities, they found all the pieces he'd need to make more, not just like a couple more, like dozens, maybe more. And this wasn't like, amateur stuff. That notebook with the recipes for the military-grade explosives, well, it wasn't just him doodling. He had the ingredients right there in his garage.
Whoa, wait, military grade? What's that even mean? Are we talking like level of building kind of stuff?
Not like wiping out a whole city block.
Yeah?
But some of that stuff in the notebook, if it was mixed right, detonated right, you could do some serious things. Think like rip through cars, wreck buildings, Definitely not something you want just lying around.
That's way beyond like your 4th of July fireworks. This is getting scary. But what about the military grade part? Did he have, like, access to special info, or was he just good at using Google?
Oh, the investigators are definitely digging into that. Some of those recipes, not exactly something you find on WikiHow. It takes some serious know-how, chemical stuff, specific knowledge, not just lying around online.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder, where did he learn this? Did he have training? Was he part of some group, sharing this kind of info?
Okay, so we've got a guy with a ton of explosives linked to this group that could be really bad, and he knows how to make the really powerful stuff. What does that tell us about what he might have been, planning?
It's early. It's really early to say. But he had everything to make more. And those military-grade recipes, just the amount of it all, it's like he wasn't just playing around, he was getting ready. But for what? That's the big mystery.
And we can't forget what the neighbor said about him not being able to do it alone. What do you think? Could this be like a bigger thing? More people, all thinking the same way?
If the neighbor's right.
Yeah. Yeah, that totally changes things. What if it's not just him? What if it's a bunch of people with this kind of firepower and knowledge? It's a scary thought. And, the investigators will be all over that.
That's a whole other level of scary.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you wonder, are there more guys like this out there?
Yeah.
Just under the radar, building up their own stash,
Yeah.
planning who knows what?
Right. It's the world we live in, unfortunately. In this case, it's a big flashing sign. It's like, hey, this stuff is getting easier to find out, how to make explosives. These crazy ideas are spreading online.
Yeah.
And people are getting caught up in it. It's a wake-up call for all of us.
So what do we do? How do we even start to deal with this? Is it all about, watching everyone and catching them before they do something? Or is it more than that?
It's a tough one. There's no easy fix. Yeah, keeping an eye on things, getting good intel, that's part of it. But we can't just play catch-up. We need to get ahead of this.
Alex.
Figure out what's making people go down this path.
What is making people do this? Where do you even start to deal with that? It's a lot of things, all mixed up. People feeling alone, no hope, no good jobs. All this fake news and hate online, that's where it starts. That's the breeding ground. We need to deal with that as a society. Teach people to think for themselves, build communities, make sure everyone feels heard,
That sounds like a huge job. How do we even begin?
It starts with being aware, talking about it, having real conversations. Got to recognize the signs when someone is going down that road. Understand how dangerous online stuff can be. And if you see something, say something.
So it's not just about the police catching the bad guys. It's about everyone being more aware, more involved, ready to do something if they sense something's wrong.
Exactly. This isn't just a job for the cops. It's all of us. We got to work together to figure this out. If we see something, say something. Push back against the hate. Build understanding. Make it so these extreme ideas can't take hold.
Okay, so we've got the arsenal, the possible reasons why, the whole network thing. But there's another piece to this, the legal side. What kind of trouble is Spafford in? What does this tell us about, how to handle these cases in court? This guy's in a whole heap of trouble, that's for sure. Where do we even start with the charges they could throw at him?
Right now, officially, it's the firearms thing, the unregistered short-barreled rifle. Could be up to 10 years for that. But come on, that's nothing compared to the rest of it. We're talking hundreds of homemade explosives, those military-grade recipes, and the whole extremist group thing. Oh, yeah, they're going to hit them with everything they've got.
So what are we talking? Like a charge for every single explosive? What if they find proof of a network? Is that conspiracy?
Oh, got it. Each of those 150-plus pipe bombs, that's a separate charge, plus all the other stuff, the ingredients, everything. And then there's proving what he was going to do with it all, right? His intent, was it an attack? Was he, stocking up for something big? That's the tricky part.
How do you even prove that? They can't read his mind. Is it like looking at his internet history, what he did online?
Exactly. They'll be all over his computer, his phone, everything, browsing history, social media, any messages, especially with those extremist groups or whoever he was talking to. They'll be looking for any sign he was going down that rabbit hole, planning stuff, picking targets. And that notebook with the military-grade recipes, that's huge. That says he knew what he was doing. It wasn't just a hobby,
So it's like a digital puzzle. Got to put all the pieces together to get him right. What about the doing it alone comment? If they can prove he said that, does that mean conspiracy charges?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. If they can back that up, and if they find any messages or anything that shows he was working with someone else, boom, conspiracy case. They'll be looking for anything that shows he wasn't alone. Maybe a whole group, maybe just a few people, as long as they were on the same page, had the same, mess of ideas.
So this might be way bigger than just Spafford. This could blow the lid off a whole network. Like opening Pandora's box, huh?
It could. It really could. And that's the tough part about these cases. It starts with one guy, but it can go anywhere. Gets really complicated fast. Lots of investigating, different agencies working together, the whole 9 yards.
It's like you pull one thread and the whole thing unravels. This could be just the beginning. A much bigger investigation, more extremist groups. Who knows what else they'll find.
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
And that's what makes this case so important. It's not just about this one guy. It's about this whole new world of extremism, all happening online. We got to understand how it works, how people get sucked in, and how to stop it before it starts.
So, big picture, what's the takeaway here? What should people listening to this remember?
Biggest thing. This isn't some freak thing, some one-off. This Spafford case, it's a warning. This stuff is changing, getting worse. It's all over the internet now.
Yeah.
We're going to be more careful, more aware, all of
It's
it.
like a slap in the face, right? Tells us this can happen anywhere, to anyone.
You
And
own
we
that.
all got to do our part to stop it.
No doubt. We got to know the signs when someone's heading down that road. Educate ourselves about all the crazy stuff online and speak up if something feels wrong. It's about looking out for each other, being smart, and making it so these twisted ideas don't have a chance.
So it's not just about catching the bad guys. It's about making sure there are fewer bad guys to catch.
That's the goal, isn't it? And everyone's got to be part of it. The cops, teachers, community leaders, everyone, all of us, working together to make things better, safer, and smarter.
We went deep on this case, and it's definitely unsettling. Raises a lot of questions about this whole extremism thing in the online world. As things develop, we'll keep you updated. But here's something to think about. What can each of us do to make sure stories like this don't happen anymore? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Stay informed, stay safe, and most importantly, stay involved.